G'day everyone, welcome back to Mermaid, day 7. We're officially 1 week in. How are you going if you're doing your Mermaid challenge? Hope you're doing well. This is typically the time when people fall off, so big encouragement your way if you are going and you're adamant that you get to the end. Hang in there. It doesn't get any better. I mean, it does, it kind of does, depending on what you're doing, but you are getting closer to the end with every single day that you do. Why am I speaking like that? I'm not motivational and I'm certainly not trying to be. This piece that I did today, I'm looking at it right in front of me and I haven't seen how much time I have to spend on my voiceover today. So it looks like I spent a lot of time doing this. So I'm hoping I got a good like 15, 20 minutes, but I figured I'd just chat to you in the middle, the most beautiful part of the day before I head out for a walk to the supermarket. And I'm pretty much off today. Last night, I look a bit of a mess today. I mean, I think I look like this every day, but I feel a bit of a mess. And you know when you feel like what you feel like is translating into your appearance? So don't look too closely. In fact, just don't look at all. Look at the picture I'm drawing. Last night I went out and I only had 2 Long Island iced teas, which I know to some people sounds like a lot, but usually I can drink a lot more than that. And I wasn't wrecked, but I went like flatline. Like as soon as I had finished and we walked home because we were just out at a bar close to our house. And as soon as we walked home, I don't know, maybe it was just all the socializing, all the excitement of it all. Actually, yesterday afternoon, I said I was going into Disneyland. I went into Disneyland and I watched Steve perform, and it was so much fun, and I loved it. And if you do get a chance to go into Disneyland and see the Dapper Dans, whoever you get to see, just go and enjoy throughout Pixar Fest. They do a huge like Pixar medley, and it is so fun to watch. They do Nobody Like You from Four Town, so fun. But there's tons of different Pixar films mashed into the big medley, and it's all choreographed. It's all like songs that you recognize, and they use the Deegan Orkin chimes and everything. It's super, super fun. I loved watching it yesterday. And they also do like a big medley of like Disneyland. They do a big Disneyland medley usually, like throughout the normal sets that they do, like not a part of Pixar Fest, and I love that one too. The medleys are my favorite, so if you ever get a chance to go and see, it's very much well worth going to have a look at. And yeah, but afterwards I went to go and catch the parade, the second parade over at Disney's California Adventure. I went and saw that, and that was really, really great. No one saw me because I was kind of like tucked away in the back, so I got a true viewing experience, and it was just so much fun to watch. It's such a fun little processional of just excitement. The song is so catchy too. Like it's such an earworm. If once you hear it, you'll know why. Because if you haven't heard it, I don't want you to get stuck with it in your head. But ever since I started rehearsals, it's better together, better together, better together, better. It just goes on and on and on in my head, like a mirror that looks into a mirror over and over and over again. Anyway, this piece that I did today. Oh, so after all that, Steve was feeling like it was such a beautiful day, and then we went out and socialized with friends, and it was really, really fun. But I don't know why I thought like, well, I have tomorrow off. I mean, I'm only working from home doing videos. I don't have to be in my complete right mind. So I just decided to have 2 Long Islands, and I felt like that would be fine, but I guess I didn't really eat that much. And yeah, it took me out. I was asleep from 11 p.m. until almost 10 p.m. today, 10 a.m. today. What's that? 11 hours? Yeah, knocked out, which is good because I've kind of been having like rough sleep lately. I don't even know why. My body is just so sore. A good sore, but I can't get comfortable for a long time. Hi, Bianca. I can't get comfortable, so is what it is. Takes me a long time to get to sleep. And then the other day I didn't read something. There was some person that did a TikTok or something that said sleep is such an interesting thing that we don't know about. It's something that you have to enter into, and you have to pretend you're asleep in order to then enter into sleep. And if you are not pretending well enough, you won't get in there. And like it was the way they phrased it all has stuck in my head, and now I can't unthink that I am faking trying to be asleep to get to sleep, which then puts my brain in a spiral of it's so meta. Like I'm thinking about myself thinking about going into sleep. It's wild. Steve said something. Oh no, it wasn't said something. Steve was tickling me the other day. I love a tickle. If you don't know this about me, love a tickle. Not like oh, I can't breathe, I'm laughing so hard. But just like a back scratch. You know what I mean? Love that. I've always loved it since I was a little boy, and Steve will sometimes obligingly, it's not even a word, begrudgingly, tickle my back so that I can fall asleep. But I told him, and I didn't want to be mean, and I wasn't mean, but it did sound like I was giving notes, which is really frustrating. But I had to say something because it was doing something to my head that I just couldn't unsee again, or I couldn't unthink. He was doing it in a pattern. And once my brain had locked into the pattern that he was doing, which is nothing wrong with that, but for some reason my brain had locked into it, then I felt like the tickle was just, it was becoming a pattern in my brain. And I was so focused on the pattern that he was doing that I couldn't actually enjoy just being tickled. So I was like, you have to vary it up a little bit because I know where you're going next, and my brain is just not letting me go to sleep. So that's just a little peek inside my brain. You know, I think my brain turns off the most when I'm doing arts and crafts, and that's probably why I love it so much, because the rest of my day is full of chaotic thoughts like that. I don't have anything, I'm not diagnosed with anything, I'm not ADHD, I'm not anything, so I think I just think a lot. I think a lot. Anyway, today's piece, I have to say, I believe this was inspired by, it's not on here, and I should have put it on here, probably forgot. I'm going to put it on here. Inspired by Bun. Roxanne Cobble. I think a lot of you are familiar with Roxanne. Roxanne was the one who turned me on to Art Snacks and how I started working for Art Snacks Box Freestyle. We've been peers in art journaling space for a long time. She's a wonderful creative, does such fantastic work, has a very nice Patreon. I haven't seen it, but I've seen all of the advertisements for it, and it's very, very, what do you call it, comprehensive. Like, a lot of her art and creativity you can find on Patreon, but then there's also stuff online as well that you can just find free and accessible. So I really enjoy Roxanne's content. The subject matter, like, we're very different subject matter wise, and it's that same part of me that taps into the Tim Burton ookie kooky spooky kind of taps into Roxanne's, but I mostly just love that she's very creative and does wonderful art journaling and is a great teacher as well. So this piece I don't even know what it was that I was looking at, but I saw something sectioned off and it reminded me of a piece that I had done. It might have even been a mermaid. Maybe it was a post that she was thinking about doing Mermay weeks ago. I can't remember because I did this weeks ago, but I'm sure I saw it on Roxanne's Instagram at bybun, BYBUN. And so I saw it, and it reminded me of a piece I did a long, long time ago. It was kind of like a segmented Barbie doll that was hung up by strings. This is before I even knew art journaling, and I got my first, I think it was my first set of Copic markers, Copic chows, that I made my gran buy me on eBay, and I didn't tell my mom, and my mom was managing everyone's finances, and she got really mad. But my gran was always so supportive, and she didn't even know how to set it all up, and she was like, well, if you can figure it out, like, just take my card and you can figure it out. And I didn't even really tell her how expensive they were. I told her they were expensive, but my gran just never really had a great concept of money. So my mum would kind of organize all of that. And then it was like, I want to say it was like $400 because I got a Copic chow set, and there was an A set and a B set. And they came in these acrylic containers. I got both of them because I was like, Gran, I need all the colors because I'm going to be a fashion designer. I wasn't. I mean, I thought I was then, so I wasn't lying. But yeah, she was very supportive and she got me those. And I loved them. I mean, they really did encourage me to do a lot more artwork. So I think it was a good investment. And I still have a lot of them today. They're over back there in that tub. I still think of Gran when I use them. And that was actually, I mean, super random segue, but that one of the like weirdest things when someone passes away is like how they might still show up that's not in some kind of, you know, nice memory sense. Like, I mean, it's not like it's a bad memory. I don't even know how to phrase this. All this to say, because I signed my gran up for eBay and I used my email account, and so, but I used all of her information because it was going to be her credit card, and I would get emails from eBay for her, and it would just kind of like shock me a little bit because I would see her name and I would think like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? And for a while I just wouldn't do anything about it because there was still a part of me that liked seeing her name pop up and as if she was still here, and so I wouldn't cancel the account and I wouldn't close it. Eventually it was closed, but yeah, that story lives right beside the Copic chow story because it's all wrapped up in one. So it's just like a really weird, bittersweet thought. But all of that to say, we're not going to talk about grief today because that's a heavier, longer topic. One that I actually don't talk about a lot, to be honest. I think I have shared before. I think in Playtest Patreon last year, I did a whole journaling spread about Gran, and what was it called? In My Memory. I loved that. We should bring that back. Make a mental note, bring back In My Memory. The mental note won't stick, so I'm going to actually write it down. You know, I'm just going to put it on this page. bring back, no, I don't want to use that. I'm just going to put in my memory videos, PP3. There we go. Can put that in there, and hopefully I'll remember. Anyway, so this piece was inspired. I was inspired to create this piece because of work I'd seen by Bun. So please go and check her out and enjoy her content. And I hope you enjoy this mermaid. From what I can see, my points of interest that I think I'd like to point out, I like that she's kind of segmented. She's not it's not like she's sushi, like she's chopped up into sushi blocks. She's hollow. And I think that was something that I liked about Roxanne's piece. Again, I'm really not remembering it well. I'm just going to give all the credit to Roxanne because I don't remember if that's what I saw or not. But it was definitely her. And then the hair is a fish, it's twisted into a kind of a fish shape. I put the X on there because I wanted it to look like a dead fish. And I love the kind of wrapped, spiraling tornado fluke right at the end. This is some of the best hands I've ever drawn. I don't even know how that happened, but I love them. They're super like gnarled, and I loved the pinched elbows at the waist. A lot of the times when I get people to pose in the studio with Steve, I always get them to tuck their elbows in behind their waist to make a more dramatic waist silhouette, because I like the shoulders to go out, the waist to nip in like an hourglass, and then the forearms to dip out over the hips, and it just really accentuates that hourglass. Sometimes when I'm in the studio, people ask how I like learned to pose, and realistically it's because I watched way too much Top Model. Australia's Next Top Model, America's Next Top Model. I've also seen Asia's Next Top Model. That was great. But those top models are the ones I watched, and I learned a lot of it from there. Also, I've loved collecting fashion magazines since I was a teenager, so just visually exposing myself to a lot of it, I've kind of got a bit of a visual library going on. Steve has an incredible visual recall. I always say that when I talk about visual memory and stuff, because they're just photo memory, crazy. But, which is great because I'll do all the posing and he'll start to lock all that in, so he'll know how to recreate a lot of the posing. But also drawing, being an artist, drawing female figures, especially in fashion female figures, usually based on fashion photography. Fashion illustration is just this hyper kind of exaggerated style of the silhouette and the form, and using all of my ideas about anatomy to distort the image, I can also relate that to how I teach people to pose for the camera, because essentially the camera is also a 2D flat image. We use lighting to kind of sculpt features and shape the image together, shape the body, and I can also do that with posing and also dancing. Honestly, I think everything I've ever done in life has fully qualified me to be a posing coach. We call it movement coach, but it's posing. And it's literally something I don't get paid to do. I don't think I'm more qualified to do anything in this whole world. I think I'm just born to be a posing coach. Someone get me a job in posing, please. No, it's fine. It's one of those weird things, because anyone who actually would need a posing coach probably already should know how to be posing. You know what I mean? Like, top models know how to pose, so you wouldn't get them a posing coach. It'd be for people that didn't really know how to do it, but then why would there be a budget for that on sets if you were hiring people who didn't know how to do what they were hired to do? See how that doesn't make sense? But for for what we do, for real people coming into Steve's studio having editorials, that's great. And I like it too, because it's one of those things that Steve doesn't have to worry about. I enjoy creating it. I enjoy getting people to look in the, when they pop up on the screen, they're tethered to the computer. They get to see themselves in a way they've never seen themselves before. And it is just always a treat to be able to play with people like that. It's like playing real life Barbie dolls. Oh, and I did that with my sister. So I've had so much practice posing. I wish I could make $1 billion off of posing. No, it's fine. I'm actually doing really well. Not that anyone wants to know about my finances, but I'm at that place in life where I've been here for a while, actually. This is a wayward conversation today. Let's go with it. I'm at that place in life where my goal financially, and this is important for me because one of my biggest struggles ever was financial insecurity. And I still do struggle with that from time to time. I always have a very, long view of where money is coming from and where it's going, especially because my business kind of varies in income all the time. Oh, excuse me. The financial insecurity thing used to get me on edge all the time. I just be really upset about, everything and how it was all going. And so, and I felt like I could never earn enough to feel safe and secure, and, like how much was enough until I would start feeling fine. I've learned to let all of that go and, just realize that even if it all fell apart, like I'd still be able to rebuild. I'd still be able to have what I need. I'd still be able to, I have family, I have friends. I'd be able to figure it out. So that really freed me up from feeling like I'd, fall to the wayside. But also setting like a really, I don't even know how I came up with all of these thoughts, but setting like a really realistic goal on what is actually enough. And I was telling Steve, for me, like, I don't have dreams to do more than X, Y, and Z. So if I have money to do X, Y, and Z, that's enough for me. I'm not interested in doing everything I can do to push beyond that glass ceiling and find, $2 extra million. I don't need that. That's not as much as I need. So all I want is to make enough to do what I need to do, or like I want to do, which is visit my family often. I could always visit more often, but now that's become a timing issue, not a money issue. Visit my family at least once a year, and I'd love to go on international holidays, but I usually only want to go to Japan, which is always affordable, so that's great. I'll have to go wherever Steve wants to go sometimes, I guess, but I'd love to go on an international holiday once every couple of years, because I go to Australia every year too, so that always feels like a holiday. And then I want to be able to buy the food that I want to eat. Like, I don't want to have to, I would love to not have to budget for food. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can only afford this bread, or I can't buy this week because it's a bit of a luxury. I just want to be able to go do the shopping that I want to do and eat that. I'd love to be able to go out to eat and to order takeout, stuff like that. That has become increasingly expensive, and like the fact that you can't go out to eat anymore for less than $100, or takeout is like $60 for some reason. So that's something I'm actually okay to let go of a little bit. I have found a bit more of an appreciation for making meals at home, and it's also my appetite has kind of changed over time when I go to dance at Disneyland, because the parade can be very physically tasking, strenuous. I think it's physically strenuous. I don't like to eat a lot beforehand, so I generally have kind of plain-ish meals in the morning. Even in the afternoon when I'm eating lunch, I kind of eat lots of carbohydrates like bread or pasta or something, just so I can get through it, but nothing even too heavily flavored. So I don't end up spending a lot of money on days where I'm dancing, because I don't like to dance on a full stomach and feel sick. So that's interesting. That actually saves me a lot of money. I also don't usually drink coffee on days that I do parades. I don't even like buy a coffee or anything. So 4 days a week I'm saving some more money, which I guess I can spend elsewhere. I like to be able to buy clothes. I'd love to be able to buy clothes that I want to wear, but also my view on that has changed. I only really want to buy things that are really good quality, so I buy a lot less now, but the stuff I do buy is more of an investment for the long term. It doesn't have to be style-wise an investment, like something, oh, this will be timeless classic piece. Like, I'll buy something completely trend-based, but it has to be of good quality so that I can wear it for the next 20 years. And then my journaling. Obviously, I want to keep up my journaling habit, but to be fair, I am the most spoiled art journaler in the whole world, because companies will send me things. Art Snacks gives me those boxes all the time. You guys have sent me things. Like, I have almost every art supply in the whole entire world at my disposal, and I have more art journals than I could probably ever use in a lifetime. So really, I am set with the art journaling. You probably have noticed I don't really haul things. I don't really buy new things. Even when we were doing the Hobonichi hauls, they're very modest now. I feel like I haven't gone and just bought a whole bunch of stuff in maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I want to say whatever the last haul I did on TikTok was probably from some Japanese stationery store. But I'll buy like single things here and there, or things to replace like a white gel pen. But even that, I don't really have a budget for art supplies anymore. What else do I want to do? All of this to say, really, because you don't really care, but I think it's important, because I've thought about this when we were talking about like companies that, why couldn't they give their employees raises if they were purporting to have, $500 million of profit? Then I know that a lot of that gets reinvested into the company, but wouldn't there be value in reinvesting that into the employees that helped you gain that $500 million in profit? Or, like those things that you do as a corporation to make sure that your employees don't feel like you're just taking from the public, I guess, because they're not taking from the employees. All of that to say, I would feel like if I was a CEO of a company, I would set a goal. I'd be like, this is how much profit I would like to make, say $2 million in profit. This is so hypothetical, but $2 million in profit is where I'm happy with. So if in the second quarter, like halfway through the financial year, we hit that goal, then we're smooth sailing until the next year. Like, I don't really care what happens after that. We could make an extra $10 profit after that. We hit the goal. If we make a whole bunch extra, then I am using all of that as bonus money to go and do all the other things that a corporation wouldn't typically do. Like, I'm doing appreciation things, I'm doing charity things. It's like, you know, obviously I'm reinvesting in bigger ways. You know, budgets that I gave to one department, I'm going to double the budget because now we can see what happens there. And I feel like, but I wouldn't push beyond that, because it just seems like companies are charging more every year for the same product or less than the same product, and reporting to have made millions and millions of dollars more profit. And I'm like, but you're price gouging, then bragging about all the money that you've made, and then delivering even less the next year, and then delivering even more profits to shareholders the next year. Shareholders, you're greedy. You got to stop. You need to set a goal too. I hope there's a CEO watching this, because I really feel like there can be enough. If it's profitable, it's typically enough for a lot of people. So corporations, I just need them to get that together, because it's getting insane out here, and they all know that they can get away with it, because as soon as we thought everything was inflation, now everyone just says it's inflation. But I can tell you, as a business owner, I haven't raised those prices in my Etsy store for years. In fact, I don't even know if there is anything in my store that has ever raised prices. I remember back in the day when I thought those were very premium prices for what I was charging, but realistically, my manufacturers didn't really raise their prices that much either over the years. Their cost of goods were getting more expensive from different places, so sometimes they raised it a little bit, but then I thought, I'm still profitable on it, so I'll just let that eat into my profit a little bit more, because I'd rather people know that I committed to that price. That is the price, and just because it's 2024 doesn't mean that's not the price anymore. Like, I get it, and if it did become too expensive, then you kind of have to pass it on because it doesn't make sense, but there's still a profitability there. I'm still okay with it still being profitable to that extent. So the margin is a little smaller. It's not that big of a deal. To me, anyway. So I feel like, I don't know. Why am I talking about this? Oh, financial insecurity. I feel a lot better about it. Honestly, I am making the money that I need to make to do the things I want and need to do, and that makes me happy, and I live a very free life beyond that. I do the work that I need to do to earn that money, and then everything beyond that is pleasure and happiness, and I can't tell you how much that is the biggest gift that I have received in this lifetime. I will forever be thankful for it, and it also frees me up to do things like this, where I can do like 31 days of Mermaid videos and not feel guilty, or not feel like I don't have the time to do it because I need to go and earn some money for something that may happen in the future that I don't actually need money for. You know what I mean? I can actually take my free time and spend it the way I want to spend it. And isn't that why we go and get those jobs? I mean, we pay the bills, but you know, all bills paid aside, what do you want to do then? You want to enjoy your free time. You want to enjoy doing the things you like doing. So those are my financial thoughts for today. Might have been completely useless for people, but I'm trying to get Steve to get on board too, because I don't think he quite understands what I've said. Maybe you can tell me if I explain that in a way that made sense to you, because I might just be saying this and it might not be making any sense to Steve because it doesn't make sense at all. It makes sense in my head. I'd love for him to get to a point where he's like, this is, because he can't identify the amount of money that he needs to make to be happy with how it's all going. His is very elusive. He's being very corporation about it. Like, no amount of money is too much. And I think it can be. Anyway, I gotta go because I just got a text message from a friend who needs my help. Nothing serious, needs some directions, but I gotta answer. So I will be back tomorrow. Have a lovely Mermaid Day 7. Congratulations on your first week. And if you're just watching to watch along, thank you so much. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.